Welcome to the Cynomics Learning Series. This is our lab automation webinar for the Microplate labeler. My name is Jason Lindsey. I'm the West Coast account manager for Cynomics. I am joined today by my counterpart, Lucas Dolan.
Yeah, good afternoon,
Welcome,
everybody.
Lucas.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to introduce myself. I'm the Midwest account manager. I'm Lucas, as Jason said, so I'm going to be helping as a panelist on this webinar. Jason's going to be driving most of the time, but kind of towards the end of the webinar, you might hear a little bit more from me. I'm going to help to field some of the questions, and Jay's going to answer the questions as I ask them to him.
All right. So we're going to go over some of the common challenges of manual labeling, advantages of automation. We are then going to go into a live product demo. So we are going to see it label a lidded microplate where it's going to unstack. It's going to take it on the conveyor system. It will delid the plate. It will label all four sides with barcode verification for each print and tamp. It will replace the lid, and then it will go to the upstack where it will stack and store for the next round of tubes. At the very end, we will have a Q&A session, so if you do have any questions that we have not answered throughout going through the webinar, there's a Q&A button there on the bottom. You can post a question, and we will hit those at the end. All right, ready to go, Lucas?
I'm all ready, Jason.
All
Let's
right, let's
do
it. All right. So today we're talking about using automation in the lab and its benefits. And the biggest one, of course, for automation is the quality and accuracy. So when using automation with the microplates, you can be assured that there will be consistent positioning, consistent tamping. So it is on the plate where it needs to be, especially for any downstream processes that need to happen. So with microplates, you can do short sides, you can do long sides. We can also do deep well blocks. So you can label at the top of a deep well block and also at the bottom, depending on where your scanners are for that downstream process. It's really the application and consistency of placing the label. Financial impacts with labor costs. I know that a lot of people talk about automation replacing people in a lab. They're not really replacing people because we need the people's brains there in the lab to be able to talk about that. So what we're looking for is doing these mundane tasks, things that people are too smart to do or too high paid to be doing, to be placing labels on the sides of plates. I know it can be fun to do some labels on some plates, but after about 10, you're probably going to get bored. They're going to get a little sloppy, and then you're going to have a problem with that downstream process. Productivity and efficiency is a big thing with the automation. They don't stop for breaks. So if you can get in there and set up your entire run of plates to get those tamped correctly. Also having the work list. We have a work list availability on this to where you can use the work list, and then you know that your data will be secure because you're coming from your own work list. You'll also know your list of barcodes and list of what you'd like to place on the plate. Sticking to manual ways. So again, manually, it really is a pain. There's a lot of preach, there's a lot of push into the ergonomic part of doing repetitive lab work. To be able to sit and hand place these smaller labels on here. So our example is our standard 1/4 inch high by 2 inch wide label, which is pretty standard on a microplate. So to be able to line those up and get those in the correct positioning, and just to be having to handle the plates. So we're trying to get away from those manual ways. Operational mishaps, again, with that work list, you know that you have already processed the barcodes that you need to do instead of creating them on the fly. So you know that will be an effective way. Slip ups, again, with the barcode validation, you know what's in the work list, what should be printed. You're validating that that barcode is what you said it was. So to the star of the show, this is our MP2 Plus quick version. You can see the spin around. This comes standard with those two stacks. You can do an option of adding additional stackers if you wanted to add more plates where to increase your walkaway time. So a quick little version of this is, here's the kind of the main version here in the middle. There is on the left hand side, the left stacker is the down stack, so that's where you would stack your plates to be labeled. They will unstack. They will go across the conveyor in the middle to the tamp area. And then in the upper right hand corner is our delitter option, which is on here. So it will take the lid off of the plate and then rotate the plate to tamp on the sides of the plate that you would like to use. And then in the lower right hand side is our tamp design. So this is a design that has been changed from previous versions. This is a better version. The angle that the tamp pad comes in to pick up the label is at a better angle. So there's more consistency of label peel and being able to tamp onto the side of the deep well block. So again, this is the overall view of the system. It is 40 inches wide. It is 33.6 inches deep. It is 37.7 inches tall, and that is with those stackers. The weight's 160 pounds. Again, the base model comes with the printer. Each one of those stack racks can hold approximately 48 plates. If you have lids, it'll be a little bit less, so 45, 44, 42. And then you can do about 13 deep well blocks in there. Label capabilities, so on our printer, that's a Cab Squix printer. We do sell label kits that we recommend with this because they are on a poly backing. Our label kits come with 2 rolls of labels and 1 roll of ribbon. There are 10,000 labels on each roll. Our standard label size is a 1/4 inch high by 2 inches wide. If you need a larger label, we can go up to a 1 inch tall label to 2 inches wide. If you need to place more information on that, and that would be a change to the tamp head, just a little bit larger tamp head, which that is available. The labels go down to minus 20C, so if you needed to freeze the plates. For the label, there are user configurable label fields that you can create your label in our system. So you can add text, you can add barcode, you can do a 1D barcode, a 2D barcode, pretty much anything that you need to print. It is a work list capable system. So again, on our work list, it's a CSV file. And so you would do the plate number, you would do the side of the plate that you want to label, you would call the label name, and then you would post your label information in the following fields on what you'd like to put on there. It is a 600 DPI printer, so it's a very fine print. So you can make small adjustments to text and also to your barcodes. Available accessories are, with the MP2 Plus, it comes standard with a barcode validation scanner. You can add a barcode scanner to our MP2, which we will get to, which is our smaller integratable version. On this system, it does have the delitter. That is an option. So you can do this with lidded plates, without lidded plates. So if you have lids, you can add that optional delitter. There's also an option to add a HEPA filter to the system. So on that main safety cabinet on the top, you can kind of see that circle there a little bit. That is where we would plug the HEPA filter into, and it blows sterile air into the system to keep the area sterile for labeling. The MP2 Plus is a standalone system. If you're looking for integration, that would be our MP2. And so we'll advance here to the MP2, which is essentially that system minus the stackers and minus the conveyor system. So this is what is underneath the conveyor and the stackers. The overall size of this is 8 inches wide, 29.8 deep, so it's a little shorter depth-wise because the conveyor is not on there. And it is 14.3 inches tall. Weighs about 37 pounds. And we have APIs written for this to do calls. So we have integrators that can use our different calls to move the nest to angles that can help you deliver the plate at specific angles that an arm's meant to be able to do. The stage there has a Z travel on it, so you can create your plate definition so that you can determine where you would like to place the label. That's really great for the deep well blocks. Like I had mentioned, for the downstream process, some deep blocks need to have labels at the top of the deep well block. Some need to have them at the bottom. So you have that ability. It is the ANSI. So that nest is for ANSI footprinted plates, which used to be called SBS, but I believe ANSI is the new one. We've also created a nest for the MP2 that can use to be labeling T flask. So we have a customer that uses 175 square centimeter T flasks that can have a replaceable nest there to do for those T flasks. And again, we have the API written for this, and it is available to anyone. So just to kind of reiterate here about it's so easy to use the system. So depending on how many we have several different plate types you can use. They're taught into the system. You can do the deep well blocks. On the right hand side here, you'll see that circle is a kind of a quick preview into our user interface for the software. So depending on how many plates you have that you want to start the run, you'll see that stacker. That's a kind of a screenshot of the left stacker to know how many plates are in that stack to be able to run. You can see a little picture of our labels down there. So you can see there's 10,000 on that roll. So plenty of labels for plenty of plates. You don't have to change the labels very often, which is great. The barcode validation, again, is very helpful to give you that extra level of security to make sure that it's printing exactly what you wanted it to print. There are some log files that we can pull from the system if you would have any issues with the system, and it also can export a run result so that you would know the plates, the sides, and exactly what was printed on the plates. And again, it is compatible with LIMS by just creating that CSV file. Okay, we are now going to move to our demo.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go ahead and help you out here, Jay. So I'm going to go
Yep.
ahead and run the software in the background here while Jay's going to kind of speak over this a little bit. Now it looks like we have that spotlighted for everybody to see. I'm going to go ahead and start the machine,
Yep.
and I'll remute and let Jason take back over the show.
So our viewpoint here on the left-hand side is the actual MP2 Plus system with these single stacks on each side. On the lower left, we are going to see the plate get taken from that stacker. It will then go across the conveyor system to the main nest. In the upper right-hand corner there, you'll be able to see the system tamp. And in the lower right is the delitter, which you can see it taking the lid off of the plate as it labels all four sides. The red light is the barcode verification. All sides are labeled at D-lids, and we'll go to the up stack. And then during this time, so the nice part about this is the first plate will go by itself, so it might take a little bit longer for total. But as you move through a stack of plates, each position is moving concurrently at that point. So while it is tamping, it is unstacking, and it is restacking on the other side. Got a couple more plates here, so I'll just let you take in the beauty of automation. Then we'll see this final plate will go across.
All right. So, Jay, what types of plates can the MP2 Plus handle?
The MP2 Plus can handle any plate that is what they're determining the ANSI standard now, which used to be known as the SBS footprint plates. We would like it to be full skirted just so that it sits flat in the nest.
Mhm.
We can do deep well blocks and others. If you have any other plates that we haven't mentioned that you would like to see if they can be labeled, please contact us and we can definitely set up any type of virtual demo or be able to share more information with you on exactly what you're looking for.
Sure, sure. Can I process plates with lids?
Yes, you can, which we kind of saw there in the demo a little bit. So you can add that delitter. It will remove the lid until the plate is done labeling on whatever side you want to, and then we'll replace the lid back there. A lot of people have plates, so we'll just you as setting it up in our software for a plate definition that you have a lid so that it knows the lid lift to take that off. Very simple.
Yeah, nice. Do you have service agreements available for the system? And what type of maintenance would you recommend for something like this?
It's a very good question. So when we sell systems at Synomics, from the ship date to your facility, you have a 1 year all-inclusive warranty.
Mhm.
So if anything happens with the system, if there are any errors, any problems, we will take care of it at no additional cost. After that year is over, we do have a couple of options on doing either a preventative maintenance, otherwise known as PM, or you can also do some service agreements, which include the preventive maintenance service in there. Most of the maintenance that you need for that. So in the preventive maintenance, they'll check bearings, check belts, all of that in the conveyor, also in the stacker. What you can do before that is when you are changing through labels. So we recommend that you change. We sell our label kits with 2 rolls of labels and 1 roll of ribbon. And so after they've changed the ribbon, you've done 20,000 plates at that point, which are quite a few. So you might need to probably clean the print head. So be a couple of printer things that you can just check just to make sure there's not any residue or any print parts there that you can clean off. And you can just clean that with the isopropyl alcohol. Make sure it's dry and then reset the labels, do a couple of test prints, and then you're good to go with it.
Sure, sure doesn't sound too bad. So we're just going to keep moving through here. I just want to remind anybody, if you do have questions, feel free to use that Q&A at the bottom, and I'm going to keep rolling here with some of these frequently asked. But Jason, does this interact with the LIMS system or a lab management system, if you will?
It can. So you'll be creating that CSV file, which you'll create, which I mentioned with the work list. You're going to do a plate number. You're going to do the side of the plate you're going to label, and then in the columns, you'll also call the name of the label document, and then you will create the fields that you would like to print on the label. So you can't have your limbs create these CSV files for you to be able to run on the system.
Right. Cool, cool. What's the throughput of this system? How many plates do you think it could handle?
It can handle quite a few. It really depends on how many sides you want to label on the plate. So for a single side, you could see that it was pretty quick to label that first one. So it's probably 5 to 6 seconds a plate for just the one side. As you're adding sides, you're adding multiples of that. So it might be about 15 seconds a plate, 20 seconds if you're doing all the other sides to go through to actually do the tamp. And then, of course, you have the move across part of the conveyor.
Sure. And what's the capacity of the MP2 Plus? Does it differ at all?
It differs based on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
So with the first rack, you can have up to 48 plates, probably, give or take. For it's going to depend on the height of the plate, but normally a standard 48, 96 well, 36 well, 384 well plate. My apologies. Would be about 48 of those plates. If they have lids, it's going to be less, 42 or 40. And then deep well blocks is somewhere around 13.
Gotcha. Very nice. Can the MP series be integrated?
It can be. So we have that, again, we have that API written. You can also, whether that MP2, you can also use as a standalone. But yeah, we definitely have the APIs. And the MP2 is specifically designed to be integrated into larger systems if they need to add labeling to their plates.
Right. Okay. Are you able to use other label designer templates for the labels being printed?
Not currently. It is in development. We have had a lot of people ask this question because they use label designers to kind of lock down their label templates. So companies like There's a company called Bartender. There's one called CodeSoft. There's some
Mhm.
examples of some labeling designers that we use for our tube labelers. But we have not gotten to work with the MP series yet, but it is in development and we are working on that.
Awesome. Can you continuously process a run larger than the stacker's capacity?
You can. It won't necessarily be continuous, but you can input one work list. So, say you had 300 plates in a batch that you needed to run. You would be able to load the 48. When the 48 were completed, the machine will pause and then you can refill that rack. I would at the same time take the upstack of completed plates out. You would set them back to 0 and then a full rack for the downstack and then hit continue. So you don't need to add any additional work list for smaller batches. You can still run through your entire work list and then just replace the stacks.
Cool. Sounds pretty convenient. What are the air requirements for the system?
Air requirement is 95 psi at 1 CFM.
Cool. All right. I think now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any questions in the Q&A. I don't see any. That's all right, though. This session, we did 2 today. This one's a little bit smaller than the one this morning. If you do have any questions, though, Jay's going to go through these slides, and he's going to definitely let you know how you can get your questions answered if you came up with any and they weren't answered today. So,
yeah, please contact us here at Sales at Synomics, or you can give us a call at 314-298-9800. And thank you very much for your attendance today. We really appreciate you being part of our Synomics Learning Series. We'll have another one probably next quarter. So keep that in mind. I'm sure we'll send you some updates on that. Again, any questions, sales at Synomics.com. We will be live in San Diego for the big SLAS show, everyone's favorite, in San Diego, January 27th through 29th. And we will be at booth 1035. Please stop by. Lucas and I will both be there, along with our other account managers. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. A shout out to Nick and Alyssa for helping us produce this today. And look forward to talking with you in the future. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you for your time.